5th of Sivan naturally. So we actually recorded over 2 videos in this series already. One, a story with regards to the great Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, and another biography video. But we're going to maybe touch on a few other extra interesting facts about the great rabbi's life. He was a chief rabbi of Israel, the famous Chacham was. And let's say a few words about him. He was born on March the 3rd in the year 1929. He passed away in the date, June the 7th, in the year 2010 it was. This was, I believe it was around the time period of the 25th of Sivan of that year, respectively. We're talking about 15 years ago. He was a great rabbi, of some very, very famous rabbi in Israel. He was a posek and a spiritual leader also. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. In fact, he was born in the capital city of Israel, Jerusalem, holy city of Jerusalem, naturally in 1929. So from the time of recording, we're talking about 96 years ago. He was, the great rabbi was born. And very, very interesting. His parents was, his father was Rav Salman Eliyahu, and his mother was Rabbanit Mazal. Now, we've spoken about Rav Salman Eliyahu in a separate video in this series already. He was a Kabbalist, Rav Salman Eliyahu was, and was very active, let's just say, within regards to doing works in Israel, respectively, during his time. He would serve as a rabbi in Beersheba. Okay, he would be very, very involved with that. Okay, now, we're going to see Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu will go on to serve as a Dayan in Beersheba and in the Supreme Rabbinical Court in Jerusalem, and will become a Rashon Lציון, the chief rabbi of Israel, between the years 1983 to 1993. He would take over from Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, who would later be followed on by Rav Bakshi Doron, a great rabbis. He was seen as a leader of religious Zionism. He was instrumental in moving, let's say, people more towards the religious rights, let's just say. He was one of the, let's say, founders of the Chardal movement in Israel, like Haredi Leumi. He had ties with various politicians, especially even Jonathan Pollard, and really much he would express his opposition at the time to his Israeli disengagement in Gaza. This was in the year 2005. He was buried in Har Menuchot and passed away. He was about 81 years of age. Now, he was born in the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem. And his father, Rav Salman Eliyahu, was a famous rabbi. They are from Iraqi descent, I believe. He was a Jerusalem Kabbalist, and his wife, Rabbanit Mazal, was a sister of Rabbi Yehuda Tzadka. Very interesting now. He also had an older brother, Rab Naim ben Eliyahu, and a younger sister, Rachel, and a brother called Shimon Eliyahu. Now, it's actually interesting. The famous Rav Salman Eliyahu was a Talmid of Chacham Yosef Chaim, or the Ben Ishai, also known as. And I believe he was one of Rabbanit Mazal's great uncles. It was tough times, I think, financially, for especially the Eliyahu family, within regards to, he tried to study full-time, but it wasn't so easy, financed at that point in time where they were. There was strugglings. And he would have to learn by candlelight, it's reported over. Now, when Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu was, I believe, 11 years of age, I think sadly Rav Salman Eliyahu passed away in of itself. But at that point in time, the love of Torah and Kabbalah was at a very high level for Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu. Now, it's interesting. Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu would attend Yeshivat Porat Yosef. Let's just say it's a bastion of the Sephardic Yeshivot in Israel. And would learn from many great rabbis, including Rabbi Ezra Atiyah, who was a Rosh Yeshiva of Porat Yosef. Also, the famous Rav Tzadka Chutzin, also a rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. He was a leading Iraqi rabbi, and he had a close connection with Ashkenazi rabbis, including Rav Avram Yeshaya Karelitz, who was also known as the Chazon Ish, respectively. And he would be later on in contact with other great rabbis, including Rabbi Yaakov Mudsafi, and also Rabbi Mordechai Shrabi. Rabbi Mordechai Shrabi would be the head of the Yeshivat Nahar Shalom, and also Rabbi Yitzchak Kaduri, another famous rabbi. These are rabbis of the highest level, let's just say in itself. He would have a relationship also, a close relationship, where he'll speak to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, respectively. So there would be correspondence. And now what's interesting is while he was a teenager, he would be close to Rabbi Shabtai Yudelevich in order to do Jewish outreach work, which is interesting because I know the son of Rabbi Shabtai Yudelevich, and what's interesting about this tidbit is at the moment Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu has a kollel institution in Kiryat Moshe. And Rabbi Shabtai Yudelevich's son actually runs this, let's say, kollel as one of the rabbis over there, respectively. So we see how this Yudelevich and Eliyahu, the rabbinic families, have kept up this connection in later generations. He was a leader of, let's just say, or connected to the Brit HaKanaim, respectively, which let's just say opposed widespread trend of secularization in the country at that stage in time. They tried to do outreach work. They were involved with trying to strengthen Shabbat observance, kashrut observance at that point in time. Make sure that there's more kashrut options within regards to, let's just say, people to buy, respectively. And I think they would also speak about, should women be serving in the IDF? Should they be drafted inside? He would really speak possibly potentially against it, that specific thing. So that's very, very interesting. Now, he would receive his rabbinic ordination from the Sephardic chief rabbi at that point in time, Rav Yitzchak Nisim. He was one of the Rashon Lezion's, the chief rabbis of Israel. And it's very interesting. I think there would be the request for him to arrange for the reinterment of Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Herzl, also popularly known as Chida, from Livorno, Italy, to Israel. So I believe, come what may, in the year 1960, the Chida was finally laid to rest in Har HaMenachot in Jerusalem, which he was very much, I think, connected with in regards to moving him. Now, that year, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu would be appointed a Dayan in Beersheba. He was the youngest Dayan in the country at that point in time. He was helping out with in regards to especially adjudicating complicated family issues. That was one of the things. He was very close to the famous Baba Sali, Rabbi Yisrael Abu Chatzera, who actually lived near the city of Netivot. It's actually one day the latter insisted that Rabbi Eliyahu stop whatever he was doing and come visit him for a glass of arak, is reported over. Not wishing to upset Rabbi Yisrael Abu Chatzera, the Baba Sali, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu would accept his invitation, only to find out later that I think disgruntled ex-litigant had gone to the Bet Din seeking to do him harm at that point in time. And that's what's reported over. 4 years later, Rabbi Eliyahu was moved to the Jerusalem Regional Bet Din, and later was elected to the Supreme Rabbinical Court in Jerusalem. It was a position he would retain during his term as a chief rabbi of Israel and afterwards. Now, chief rabbinate, I think come March 18th in the year 1983, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu was appointed the Rashon Lציון of Israel, respectively, at the Yochanan ben Zakkai synagogue in the Jewish quarter of the old city of Jerusalem. He would serve as a chief rabbi, and his partner, let's just say the Ashkenazic chief rabbi, was Rabbi Abraham Shapira. They would have a 10-year tenure, and I think they started at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, and it would expire at the same time. During his time as chief rabbi, he focused on attempt to reach out to secular Israeli Jews, give them better understanding about Jewish customs, try to do a lot of outreach that way, and the importance. He would travel extensively through Israel and the entire world. Sometimes he'd go with Rabbi Shapiro also, emphasizing the importance of Jewish education, Shabbat observance, especially Nida, family purity, the life cycle within regards to it, fighting assimilation, intermarriage, which was obviously increasing at that point in time, and wanted to really show people to make Aliyah to land of Israel. He was willing to go to various secular environments in order to connect with other Jewish people. He would lecture in, let's say, even secular moshavim and kibbutzim. And after he stepped down, after it was the 10 years, I believe, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu would remain active and really increase his work even in the Jewish community in Israel and in the diaspora, respectively. Now, it's actually interesting. There's a Chardal movement, a Haredi Lomi, you can say. He was seen as one of the spiritual leaders of religious Zionism. He was instrumental, let's just say, for moving many members of the group, let's just say, that of this specific group, to the religious right, let's just say, in the direction more towards a Haredi Judaism, ultra-Orthodox Judaism. One of the ways he did this was by insisting that his followers adhere to rabbinic authority. in all endeavors. He was considered, let's just say, one of the heads of the Hardal movement, and it's a, let's say, acronym for Haredi Dati Leumi, or Haredi Religious Nationalistic. Now, with regards to Gaza disengagement, we said on the outset he would speak out against it, and we see really he was right about it. He made statements, I believe, forbidding Orthodox Jews from participating or facilitating the expulsion of the Jewish community in Gush Katif, and he was very, very much talking about that. I think in 2004, he was January of that specific year. Rabbi Eliyahu stated, I think the 2004 tsunami was, like, says, a form of punishment for Asian governments for supporting the disengagement plan. And he would even go in March 2006, this reported over 3 days before the Israeli elections. He stated, reported over, that it was forbidden to vote for any political party that backed the disengagement, and stressed that anyone who voted for Kadima, a party called Kadima, was assisting sinners. He stressed the importance of voting for a party committed to religious education and for yeshivot, and urged them, let's just say, against voting for those parties that supported the engagement at that point in time. And he really spoke about the support of the Oslo Accords during that time and all throughout. So we have to point out that also. So we said on the outset he was close with Jonathan Pollard. He was like a spiritual mentor when Jonathan Pollard served time in US prisons. He visited him there several times also. Now, come on, 2008, I believe it was at a service to remember the death of 8 Israeli students that were killed in the Meir Kazarav massacre. They were murdered. Rabbi Eliyahu said, even when we, let's say, seek revenge, is what's quoted, it's important to make one thing clear, that how the preciousness of one yeshiva boy, how important is this? And he quotes the Talmud within regards to that, that it says, if Gentiles rob Israel of silver, they will pay it back in gold, and all that is taken will be paid back in folds. But in cases like these, there's nothing to pay back, since, as he said, how important the worth of one yeshiva student is compared to the enemy's peoples. He would work for the preservation of the Iraqi, let's say, Jewish right, and the opinions of the Chacham ben Yosef Chaim, the Ben Ish Chai, probably. And it's interesting, he would have robust debates with other great rabbis. He would publish a book called the Kol Eliyahu, which is interesting enough. Now, when he was 24 years of age, he got married to his wife, Rabbanit Tzviya. She was, as we said before, the daughter of his Rabbi Nissim David Azran, the founder and Rosh Yeshiva of the Bet Shmuel Yeshiva in Nachlaot in Jerusalem, place we visited before. They had 3 sons, I think, Rav Shlomo, who is a lawyer, Rav Shmuel Eliyahu, who is a chief rabbi of Tzvat, and Rav Yosef Eliyahu, who's let's say, the head, the dean of Darchei Hora'ah Rabbanim, and I believe he has a daughter also, Meirav. Yeah, interesting enough. Now, as we said before, he suffered from a heart condition. I think come August 24th in 2009, he collapsed in his home and was rushed to the hospital while unconscious. He passed away in June the 7th in 2010 at Shari Tzedek Medical Center, let's say, from complications that related to his heart condition. He was 81 years of age. An estimated 100,000 people attended his funeral in Jerusalem. I think that started on Monday, June the 7th, 2010. It started about 10 p.m. And he was interred on Har HaMenuchot, adjacent to the Hidden. I actually had my engagement party, I think, on that specific night, if I'm not mistaken, on the same night, so I remember it very well. Now, a huge legacy is in the memory, or let's just say remembered, of Rav Eliyahu. He founded the Heichal Yaakov Synagogue, named after Jacob Safra, in Darchei Hora'ah Rabbanim Yeshiva in Kiryat Moshe, a place we visited over here. I think it's actually headed by his son, Rav Yosef Eliyahu, currently. We can say more about him. His rabbis included, just to do some chazar, Rabbi Yisrael Bochatzera, Rabbi Mordechai Shrabi, Rabbi Ezra Atiyah, Rabbi Ovadia Hodaya, one of the great Dayans of Jerusalem, and Rabbi Yitzhak Nisim among his students, Rabbi Menachem Borstein, Rabbi Shmuel Zafrani, Rabbi Yosef Eliyahu and Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, respectively, his children. It's reported that he was the 39th Roshon Lציון of Israel. Remember that it started from the mid-1600s. This title of Rashon Lציon was 10 years. And Rabbi Eliyahu Bakshi Daron will continue his place. He took over from Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. Let's explore a few more of his students also, including Rabbi Mordechai Nagari, who's a rabbi of Ma'alei Adumim, Rabbi Shabtai Sabato, is the Rosh Yeshiva of Mitzvah Yeriko, Rabbi Menachem Burstein, who is the head of the Po'ah Institute, Rabbi Yisrael Avichai, the head of the Kabbalistic Yeshivat Bet El, and Rabbi Yosef Al-Nakwa, who served as a rabbi of the settlement Neve Dekalim, Rabbi Tzvi Kostina, who's the Rosh Yeshiva of Midbar Eden, I think that's based in Mitzpeh Rimon, Rabbi Moshe Harari, the author of the Mikrei Kodesh series of books, Rabbi Shmuel Zafrani, the secretary, let's say, Rosh of the Yeshivat HaMeiri, included. Also, Rabbi David Chai HaKohen, the Rosh Yeshiva of Nitzivat Yisrael in Bat Yam, and the president of the Ma'or HaTorah institutions that's actually found by Rabbi Eliyahu. They're also the famous Rabbi Yaakov Ades, who's a Kabbalist and the author of the book series called Divrei Yaakov. Another great rabbi is Rabbi Chaim Ben Shushan, who I mentioned before, who I believe is a ram at Yeshivat Ro'ai Yisrael. Rabbi Dvit Zafrani, editor of books, member of the teaching start there. Rabbi Eyal Yakovovich, who is a Rosh Yeshivat Hester in Tzvat. Rabbi Eliyahu Ben Dahan, the former Deputy Defense of Director of the Rabbinical Courts and Deputy Minister of Religious Affairs. Another great rabbi was his student, Rabbi Yitzchak Shalev, the rabbi of the city of Yerucham. And then Rabbi Eyal Amrami, who's the Rosh Yeshiva of Ka'il Ta'aruk, and Rabbi Eliyahu Yitzchak Abba Shaul, the son of Rabbi Ben Zion Abba Shaul, who's Rabbi of Kedar, and Rabbi Tzvi Tsarfati. He was the head of the Kollel at Yeshivat Orot Yaakov in Rehovot, and as an Abbot in the head of Jewish court. Interesting, as you can see, the all-star line of students he had. Now, among his published works includes the Ma'amar Mordechai, which is laws on prayers, speaking about tefillot, the different dinim within regards to that. The Darchei Tahara, this is a book on the laws of family purity, Hilchot Nida, respectively. Then the book that we spoke about before, this prayer book called the Machzor Kol Yaakov, which is a prayer book for the various different festivals, Jewish festivals. And then there was a Siddur called Eliyahu, which is a daily prayer book. I think that was printed in the year 1998. He would print a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Lagaon Harav Shlomo Gensfried Im Ha'arot Darchei Halacha. This was, I think, daily laws for Ashkenazim and Sephardim. This was in the year 1999. A Shelot Shuvot Harav Harashi. This was a responser that was printed also. Shelot Shuvot Kol Eliyahu, which was also another responser, and question and answers. These are respectively. And the Divrei Mordechai, which is a Torah commentary. So the 25th of Sivan is his Hilula of the famous former chief rabbi of Israel. He was the 39th Rashon Lציון of Israel. So I recommend everyone to watch over the two previous videos we recorded about him in the last 2-3 years here on this series over here. So very interesting. We're going to upload some videos from his kollel, also from his office, so everyone could see. We've got it on the channel also. And yeah, very interesting. Now friends, we're learning here about the great rabbis of yesteryear. We're a community here. Please subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 7,000 subscribers, which is absolutely staggering at the moment. If anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos to other people. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe now. And if anyone's interested in watching these videos, share these videos to other people. We've covered nearly 1,100 great rabbis from yesteryear in this series, with an online encyclopedia that is exploring the life of many of the great Chachamim. So wishing you all well. We've had a turbulent time here in Israel. So pray for the safety of Am Yisrael. At the moment, wishing all a Shavua Tov, recording from the city of Elad in Israel. So have a great day, everyone, and take care. Thank you very much.